The Bay is a 2012 American mockumentary horror film directed by Barry Levinson and written by Michael Wallach. The film follows the downfall of a small coastal town that begins suffering against some sort of creature or plague, showing just how quickly a situation can fall apart and how little outside sources can help. The question isn't if the town will survive, or who will survive, but if anyone will survive.
And also, there's something eating its way out from inside. What I need you to do is figure out what the hell this is.
Some of you, even those of you not big into the horror scene, have heard of this film most likely. A ton of people throw this around as one of the hidden gems of horror, or an underrated modern classic. Are they wrong? Well, I'll get to that through the review. I need that watch time. When the film came out, it got mixed results, and many were surprised just how much truth there was behind the film. Also, I should state that this film is difficult for my style of review. You know how a ton of found footage films will say someone reassembled the footage, but it's just one or two dudes' cameras telling a linear story? Well, this movie jumps around a ton. Multiple people, often in very different locations. Some are minor, while others get much more screen time. I'll try to cover this precisely while doing my thing. So enough talking. Back under your tongue. This is The Bay. The tale of the Bay gets off to a fishy start, as in the fish are dying worldwide. No one knows why, but luckily Donna Thompson, played by Keither Donahue, is here to leak a compilation of events that led to what is happening.
I can't move on with my life until this story is told.
Also, don't worry, we won't be seeing a ton of this specific segment, mainly just at the start and end, which is probably for the better because as a whole, I don't enjoy these parts. We will still need to hear some not very good narration for the next few minutes, and periodically throughout the film. There will be other wooden lines, but the actress is actually pretty good when in the moment of the movie, just not narrating. The rest of the movie will be fine. Speaking of the rest of the movie, it's the 4th of July in Little Chesapeake Bay. Also, something about chicken farm shit causing runoff into the bay. Hey, look! It's Mayor Stockman, played by Frank Deal.
They were both involved in a lot of community service programs, and their whole family actually died that day.
Way to bring the documentary about a small town's descent into the cold grasp of painful death down, you Debbie Downer. On a happier note, 2 oceanographers were found dead in the local water a week prior. No one is able to say what killed them, but the bites are similar to a shark attack. If this turned into a new, more grounded, back-to-basic Sharknado, I don't know if I'd be disappointed or excited. Well, these two were able to determine that the bay was indeed fucked in every way imaginable. Zombie attack? It's the bay. Mutated crocodile? It's the bay. Whatever else you can think of that will lead to mass death, chaos, and destruction, it's most likely this bay. If there aren't enough problems starting to pile up, the mayor's chicken industry is causing mass runoff of chicken shit.
I think this is the best darn water I've ever tasted.
Look, I realize the problems are mounting, but hey, the party is going without trouble. Oh look, trouble just arrived, though. At least there's the crab eating contest, ooh. Where do we get crab again? Yeah, so this movie actually has a pretty brisk pace. It covers a ton, and with all the jumping around of characters, it can feel longer, but coming in at about an hour and a half, the film keeps it moving. Much like Dr. Jack Abrams, played by Stephen Kunkin, who is struggling to get a handle on the rapidly evolving situation.
And he would die later that night.
Whoa, spoilers. Well, the situation is clearly above his pay grade, so time to contact the bigwigs.
What do you think it is?
I have no idea what it is.
Oh god, the government is full of idiots! Meanwhile, Officer Jimson, played by Michael Beasley, and his partner Officer Paul, played by Jodie Thompson, happen across the first death. Yeah, this movie doesn't mess around, as we're just past the 15-minute mark, and shit is going down. Also, we see the Talmets, consisting of Kristen Connolly and Will Rogers. They're largely removed from the events as they are sailing into the bay, We'll touch on them more as we near the end. God damn it, someone ate more crab. Oh shit, it's Osama! I haven't seen you since Postal. The oceanographers managed to catch an infected fish and find it's filled with parasites. Speaking of being filled, the town is being filled with bodies as more drop dead. The cops suspect murder, meanwhile the CDC are just gobsmacked. Oh, and the larvae may begin bigger. Better hide your rations. So we learn that whatever is out there doing this is attacking the tongues of its victims. We also learn that Dr. Abrams is getting continually frustrated with the CDC's lack of help.
Did you administer methicillin to the lesion victims?
Yeah, of course I gave him methicillin. It had no response.
What do you mean?
Yeah, this movie doesn't put the CDC in a good light. Doesn't put the government in a good light either. The situation just doubles down, and all they manage is to look confused and repeat what the doctor says in the form of a question. You can definitely understand the frustration from Abrams. Also, if we look at real life, we can see that they aren't opposed to lying for political reasons either. But yeah, no, that's another story. Just remember that the government works fine, uses your money for your interest, and will never hurt you. We pinky promise. At least our oceanographers have a name for our creature.
This is called an isopod.
The CDC does manage to discover information about possibility of a radioactive leak through the ground. When pressing about the desalination plant and how clean the water is, the city official lies, and it's discovered just how bad the water is. Also, we get our sole appearance of Jim Hoyt, played by I'm not really sure. We don't see him anywhere else in the film, and his only appearance is being a weirdo, putting kiddie pool water on his face. A ton of people try to flee by way of the town's bridge, but it's shut down, trapping them. It is known that no one knows who shut it down for 3 days. Oh, and Donna's organization is conveniently raided by the FBI. I mean, there's nothing to hide, just the calming sounds of a coastal town. At least our dynamic duo is out there, trying to hold things together. Problem is that the situation is way above their pay grade. There's some haunting audio, but these two get some of the worst. The CDC is just now able to catch up to the plot, and yes, I believe that photo is faked. It's not even one from the Bay, just made up for an in-universe anomaly. We know the oceanographer's ultimate fate, but what caused that is that they dived right on top of a colony of the isopods, who wasted no time in tearing both apart. So the town is just dead at this point. The few remaining townsfolk are walking amongst corpses and dying. The CDC realizes how foobar the situation is and advises Abram to evacuate with whoever isn't infected.
Look, I have people in pain here. I'm amputating feet, I'm amputating legs, I'm amputating arms. You want me to get up and you want me to leave the hospital?
Well, again, it doesn't specify who gave the order. It is revealed that the mayor was at least involved with ordering the National Guard to isolate the town. He definitely shut down the towers, so no phone calls could get out. Now, Donna has gotten blood on her, drank water, and now used water to wash her face off. Why isn't she infected? We'll kind of get to that answer later.
Oh my god. Look at me, I was running in a circle.
Yeah, Donna's actress is good for the in-moment scenes, but stiff as a fucking plank in the webcam scenes. By now it's downright confirmed it's the chemical steroids put in the chicken feed, which they then shit, which then has run off into the bay. The larva of the isopods is then able to get through the water filtration, and then quickly grow within the human hosts. The mayor and the sheriff are able to find the now solo dynamic duo. Thing is, Jim is stressed, infected, and just got done mercy killing infected, and his partner. What's one more, really? I mean, come on, bring the date together. Well, you've taken out all the police force we've seen. Might as well finish the job. That all over, the mayor attempts to flee, but is taken out in an accident. Ironically, he would have recovered if any emergency services could have reached him. Back at the hospital, the doctor has been abandoned by the CDC and now infected. He makes one final recording, documenting all that he knows. Finally, he reveals his infection. We don't see his death, but it's never remarked that he's alive. The Talmud family has arrived at the bay just in time to find the town dead. It should be noted that while horseplaying earlier, the husband did fall into the water. That comes home to roost now as they move in and manage to get a call to an outside source. We do get confirmation that 8 hours is how long it takes for the isopod to grow to adulthood as it kills off the husband. The wife flees, and we get the closest thing to zombies in this movie, as the wife is semi-attacked, but manages to break the man's neck, surprisingly easily. Once again, we're reminded that the officials, even those outside the town, hid the warning signs and whatever evidence they were shown. The wife goes on to survive as the outro explains what followed. The following dawn, the CDC rolled in with hazmats and the National Guard, confiscating whatever cameras they could find. The channel was filled with chlorine with the hopes of exterminating the isopods. It stated the town reached a financial agreement with the government, buying their silence, the government themselves blaming the death on an outbreak from unseasonably high temperature water, which is something that was mentioned earlier. One bit that did not sit well is the hand-wave explanation for the survival of characters like Donna.
You know, there were those who survived, and for some reason they never became sick.
After going into so much detail on the isopods and everything else, it's rather lackluster to just be like, well, they survived somehow. I mean, they mentioned the little girl survived and she was breaking out all over. That was The Bay, a film made on just $2 million USD. It would sadly fail to meet that, just making about 1.6 million USD. It would premiere in Canada at the Toronto Film Festival, September 13th, 2012, with its final appearance being a TV release in Poland, September 20th, 2018. The film would be called The Bay, with only some countries adding on subtitles like Germany's DVD release having After Fear Comes Panic. Filming took place in Georgetown, South Carolina, which is part of Chesapeake Bay. While the film and the town's ultimate fate is fictional, the Chesapeake Bay is not a very clean place. In the 1970s, it had the first identified marine dead zone, which means there was so little oxygen in the water, nothing could live there. Levinson was originally assigned to document a more recent problem with the bay, but upon learning that Frontline was doing a story on it, he instead put his money towards making a semi-fictional film about the bay. Well, originally it was meant to follow a couple who arrived to the dead town and piece together what happened via video evidence they'd find. Might start sounding a little familiar here. Levinson wasn't happy, so sent scriptwriter Michael Wallach a copy of JFK, 3 Shots That Changed America, as inspiration and reasoning for making a more documentary-style movie. I have to say that making this a documentary style was probably for the best. Sure, it may have been somewhat more traditional to follow a couple arriving at the end point of the town, but it's more interesting to watch the actual downfall and everything that led up to it. Typical breakouts and such are usually relegated to montaged intros, but here we get to see it piece by piece. The film can seem a bit padded as a lot of scenes are shown again and again, though they are spliced into other events, mixing it up a little. It's a good concept and an enjoyable film. However, it falls flat with a ton of wooden moments. The narration becomes rather annoying as well, both spoiling later events and just taking me out of the moment. The hand-wave ending also leaves a very bad taste. Also, the opening compilation of dead fish and birds, including Sweden's jackdaw, is a bit weird. The ending implies that the threat is removed, some people are randomly immune, nothing more happened. I suppose it's just setting a scene for the film's minor message about humans causing problems with nature, but it's out of place and odd if not meant to imply the isopods have spread. Of all the stories, I think only the doctor and the cop's tales really stood out to me as worth rewatching. Everything else was serviceable at most. I'm glad this film is made, as it's different while also being good enough to watch. Just that it has problems which hold it back a bit. I wouldn't mind seeing another film take a stab at this. But till then, I think I'm just going to have a nice, cold glass of water. I live inland. Ain't no isopods in the water of Flint, Michigan. Why did I taste rust?
I think this is the best darn water I've ever tasted.